Good afternoon. I'd like to call the November 16th, 2023 Surf City Planning Board meeting to order. I need someone to approve the agenda, please.
I make a motion to approve the agenda. Katrina, sorry.
I'll second.
All in favor? Agenda is approved. May I get a motion to approve the minutes from the October 12th, 2023 Planning Board meeting?
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second.
So we have a second. Do we have any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. Do we have anyone with public comments, Amy? Okay, no public comments today. So next on our agenda is our site plan approval for Peak Tap House.
Good afternoon. Up first, we have the Peak Tap House Plus Kitchen LLC Tap House located on J.H. Batts Road. John Urban is requesting on behalf of the Peak Tap House and Kitchen a site plan approval. The site plan consists of 2 commercial buildings. Each building has 2 1,440 square foot units for a total of 5,760 square feet of space. The applicant intends to operate Unit 1 as the Peak Tap House and Kitchen restaurant, while the other 3 units will comprise office and retail space. Zoning to the north, south, and east consists of C3, while the area to the west is rural agriculture. Please see the below map for the zoning and site area. As y'all know, this is located along J.H. Batts on the left going towards the community center. The site plan has been designed with 2 driveways. The westernmost driveway will be an enter-exit, while the eastern driveway will be an exit only. The applicant provided trip generation based on the ITE trip generation manual, which is the industry standard. The site is anticipated to provide minimal impact during the AM peak and limited additional trips in the PM peak. The site is located on a Town of Surf City street and will not require an NCDOT driveway permit. The site will provide a 5-foot sidewalk along the property's road frontage per our ordinances. The site will receive water and sewer from the Town of Surf City. Sewer capacity has been allotted to this location, so sewer capacity is not an issue for this site. The applicant is utilizing impervious materials in the parking areas to lessen the amount of stormwater runoff, and then they will be utilizing underground storage. So instead of a pond, there'll be storage under the parking lots for the water coming off of the buildings. The site currently consists of, or provides 38 parking spaces. Based on the proposed use of the building, the applicant has met the maximum allowed spaces. They will also provide 5 bicycle parking spaces in addition to the vehicular spaces. The site will provide a landscape buffer along all property lines and parking areas per the ordinance. The site will also provide street and parking lot trees. The architecture renderings are provided for your review in your packet. Please note that the materials used and percentages provided meet town ordinances. Staff recommends approval of this site as submitted, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have regarding the site.
I have one question for you, Amy. Stephen Pasquantonio. That's the opposite side is where that multi-use path will go. That's supposed to be provided by Waterside when they're finished. Is that correct?
So the path will go on the same,
Be on which side will that be on?
hold on. It will be on the same side because the crossing across 5210 is on the Gilligan side.
So
Yeah.
it will be on that side.
So it may have to be increased, but our current plan shows that as a sidewalk with on-street bicycle. So our current plan doesn't show it as a multi-use path, it shows it as a sidewalk.
A sidewalk with an on-street bike path.
I believe it's the only on-street bike path shown in the plan.
The property south is just a lot right now too, right?
Yes, y'all can see my screen, right? On your
Yeah.
little screens? Okay. I will pull up Pender County GIS so you can get kind of a better overview of where we're at.
A lot across the streets been cleared out. What's going there?
That is the boat storage that was approved by council at the last council meeting. So you actually have two things there. At the last council meeting, they approved the boat storage where the stone piles are for McDaniel Bats. And then between that and Gideon Heating and Air, there is a 5-bay building that will house Tar Heel Landscape will be into overflow storage for Gideon Heating and Air will be in there, and I'm not sure about the final unit, but it'll be a storage, like large roll-up door storage building. But to answer your question, Katrina, the Rochelle property is to the left of your screen, and that is currently vacant property. And everything behind it is built out, and that is they're like 4
Map
buildings.
up?
Can you see my map? You
No.
can't see my map. Why is it not? Sorry. I'm sorry, my fault. Could you turn me on, please? Thank you. Let me know when you can see my screen. On the little screen, can you see?
It's coming.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Chris, I apologize.
Oh,
Wow.
My bad. All right, so there is the zoning. So behind this property is they're the 4 units. They've got the big roll-up doors. They're either storage or like commercial type. And then this is currently zoned rural agriculture, as you can see there. To develop that, it would have to be rezoned more than likely because rural agriculture has a much larger house lot footprint, and most developers aren't going to develop in this particular location at that size footprint for house or lot size.
1,000 square feet.
Yes, sir.
thank you.
Move your cursor around exactly where this is.
These 2 lots right here.
I got you, okay.
Where's the cursor? Oh, I see it now. Mhm. Will the town request them to have a turning lane off JH, since it's a town road?
The traffic wouldn't warrant, we don't have warrants for that in our ordinance that would do that. Typically, we've been utilizing the NCDOTs. With this being a town road, that makes it a little bit more difficult. For something this size, it probably would not warrant one.
Just thinking about the community center when they have all their ball games and their volleyballs and their pickleballs and all that out there, and they're leaving on that road.
So the peak portion of it will operate typically in a later part of the day and won't overlap as well. Now, that being said, I wish all the luck in the world to the peak, but that does not mean that the peak is going to be there forever. I think that road may need roadway improvements at a time in the future, but I don't think a turn lane would be warranted by this project.
Are there any other projects on that road in development other than the recent stuff?
So the 4 parcels that you see that are shown as RA on there are for sale. So I would anticipate that those 4 parcels would develop at some point. The piece on the north of J.H. Batts will be provided a connection to the roundabout at Charlie Medlin, Tortuga, Coretta. So there will be, that piece will be connected on both sides. However, the pieces on the south side of J.H. Batts, they do not go all the way to Little Kinston. Additional properties would have to be combined into that to get that connection to Little Kinston.
So when you say connected to the roundabout, is this where suggestions about a road coming through to J.H. Batts would come through?
So potentially. So the DOT is studying this intersection up here, which is the Belt Road 50-210 intersection. Initially, that had been studied as a roundabout. They're also looking at a quadrant design, and the quadrant design would consist of Coretta Drive coming out to Charlie Medlin Drive. As a part of that initial project, they are not looking at a connection all the way to J.H. Batts. But from a moving traffic standpoint, with the community center and the park significantly increasing in size, that connection would be a valuable connection in that all the people from the Dogwood Lakes and all, from there all the way back to Dogwood Lakes that are in town that are utilizing our facilities, it would give them access without putting them in the beach traffic.
Do we have any other discussion?
I make a motion to approve.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried and the plan is approved. Next item on our agenda is Magnolia Reserve subdivision reconfiguration.
Our next project is the modification of the Magnolia Reserve subdivision. This will be Phase 7 of the subdivision. The Town Council approved Magnolia Reserve's preliminary site plan in June of 2018. The submitted project showed a 200-lot subdivision being built in 3 phases. Since that time, the developer has decided to record the development in 7 phases. Phase 1 through 6 consist of 185 lots and have already received the final plat approval, with many houses being completed. The remaining 15 lots are located along the proposed Lennox Lane and Northern Pintail Court. However, I don't think the county is going to accept Northern Pintail Court as a name. The map below provides both the location and zoning of the affected area. There is no zoning request change on this, so just to kind of circle back, some of the lots had already been rezoned, and this does not fall in that because that was lots 150 through 200, so we're not requesting that conditional district. This will be straight R10. The intent of this is just to reconfigure the lots that are shown here, so that this can go from the cul-de-sac that you can see lightly underneath to a connection that connects to the property behind it. And then over here to the right of the screen, this small area, the revision to this lot is based on the fire apparatus turnaround. The original plan had the fire apparatus turnaround shown off property, and that was never, easements were never obtained. So this is moving that fire apparatus.
Also, TV, there it is.
So that fire apparatus turnaround, the only thing is changing the layout of Lot 104 a little bit so that the fire apparatus turnaround can be on there. And then again, the number of lots is not changing. This little portion, it will not be a lot for now, and neither will this small portion. In the future, they have bought the piece of property next door. The intent would be to add those to that, but that property has to annex into town and has to be reviewed through subdivision ordinances before anything could happen. So if that did not happen, that would just be green space left for the HOA in the development.
What is the little road at the bottom of that drawing?
This guy here?
Yeah.
That is a private property. There are some manufactured homes back there and some additional homes. Right now, here, let me pull up. Right now, they have to exit. The people that live back there are currently utilizing that dirt road to cut through this neighborhood because they have to go out to Watts Landing. They do not have a direct connection. So you see this R.A. King Road that then turns into Wildwood Lane and then turns into Watts Land, or comes out on Watts Landing and then comes, that's how they have to come out if they don't utilize Magnolia Reserve. So this North Elena and North Cody Court, the people that currently live back there are utilizing that road to access Magnolia Reserve and come out on NC 210.
So they can use the Magnolia Reserve to get in access. and
They are,
egress.
yes, sir.
Magnolia Reserve's lane or city property.
Uh,
City
Magnolia Reserve is in the town. They are still under
roads.
construction and have not requested to have their roads accepted by the town at this time. So again, this proposal is a reconfiguration of the lots that will allow, interconnectivity with the adjacent property. And staff does recommend approval.
Where that CZ1 is that wetlands in there, or why is that not the?
The CZ1 is a conditional district that was approved. That the only difference between those lots and the remainder of the lots in there is that they have a 5-foot side setback instead of a 7.5-foot setback.
This shows no lots in there.
Hold on.
Just that middle part, I think.
That middle
That
part,
may just be a natural area that they have in there.
mighty big's why.
It's a pond. It's a stormwater pond.
It was wetlands.
Yep, so here's the overall map up there now that shows the whole subdivision.
How many units are in there already currently?
We have platted 185, so we're probably around 140 or so built. We just platted 5 and 6 last month.
We've got two accesses off the south or the north part of the property.
So
Those dirt roads.
yes and no. So we've got the access on 210. The access to the, we'll call it the south of the paper here.
Yeah.
That goes into saltwater landing, and I believe it is gated, and it is a fire access road. And then the The one shown here where they're changing the fire apparatus turnaround, that goes to private property and does not actually connect. That property owner is in the county and has a gate on his side. So the only connection to the back will be this connection up here at the top of the page. So you'll have that connection and the connection to NC 210.
That's why we have to have a fire access turnaround.
Yes, sir, because it's set up for future connection if that were to develop, but at this time, it's private property.
Got you.
Probably benefits them. The fire chief's here, that'd probably benefit the engines back there as well, wouldn't it?
Shaking his head, yes, maybe. Mr. Arthur had a question.
I think with this reconfiguration, it's probably benefits your engines back there if needed.
It does, to an extent. Basically, it's just, right now, when they developed that land, they cut, the road used to go straight back, and there was a gate there historically, where they redirected into South Alena, is it? Where it comes through Magnolia and comes into South Alena. So basically, these new roads, from what I'm gathering, will bring it to R.A. King, and then R.A. King will have a direct route into Magnolia. So yes, in essence, it does. Originally, I required them to put a secondary in, which is the road extending from Saltwater Landing over. It had a gate. I had them remove the gate. They were up in arms a bit at first about the gate going away, but it's been fine as of modern day. I think only people who cut through maybe an errant FedEx truck or whatnot, but it does exist. It's kind of negated now with this new outlay, but they were not sure that they would originally tie into R.A. King. I think this is a boost to accessibility both for us and for them, because it shaves off about, just for instance, if we were to leave emergency traffic from the nearest station to reach those homes that are currently on R.A. King's, around 15 minutes of travel time. It's cut about in 7 minutes with this layout. So yeah, I'd say it's at least in half, maybe better than half.
Great. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion? Do I have a motion?
Motion we approve.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion is carried and the plan is approved. Next on our agenda is Evolve Properties.
The next item on our agenda is the conditional rezoning request for Evolve Surf City 2. There are some representatives here who may want to speak once I get through. No presentation, right? Okay, so they're just gonna get up and chat with you a little bit once I get done with my presentation. So the property is approximately 700 feet north of the US 17 NC 210 intersection and is on the east side of US 17. From a stormwater standpoint, that will be worked out through the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality. So on behalf of MPW Surf City 17 LLC, Brad Schuler submitted the request, but the team is here. Is requesting the rezoning of a 30.45 acre tract. This tract is identified on Pender County GIS with a PIN number of 42261043350000. This property is located north of the US 17 NC 210 intersection with approximately 845 linear feet of road frontage on US 17. The existing property will be divided into a residential and commercial area. The proposed commercial area of the development is closer to the US 17 NC 210 intersection. This intersection acts as a commercial node within the town. The remaining 27.05 acres would support multifamily units. The road frontage in this section consists of wetlands with a high ground area that will function as the entrance to the multifamily. The buildings will be set back from the road and buffered by the entrance and the property between the project and US 17. The proposed project will provide 11 multifamily buildings with 24 units each. The 264 dwelling units will have a density of roughly 9.76 units per acre. The applicant requests a 25-foot front setback, 10-foot side setbacks, 20-foot side setback adjacent to road, and a rear setback of 10 foot. Due to the width of the wetlands along the back and northern border, the town supports the requested setbacks. The applicant is also requesting a height of 55 foot. The town has a height limit of 48 foot, and without a special use permit or conditional district zoning, it can't exceed 48 feet. Staff recommends maintaining the 48 feet height limit if rezoned. The map below provides the surrounding zoning classifications. So we're looking at this. The larger C is currently C3. All town of Surf City zoning is C3 around it. However, it is surrounded by county property. So our surrounding is C3, with this area being the main, or this area being the commercial node within the town limits on the mainland. Our most intensive commercial is allowed in this zoning. As we leave these nodes and corridors, the zoning transitions from commercial to more dense multifamily to single-family homes. An example of this can be found along Austin Boulevard. The frontage along NC 210 supports commercial, which transitions into apartments and then single-family homes. Adjacent Pender County zoning consists of planned development zoning, with conservation being across US 17. This zoning allows for mixed-use developments that promotes quality urban design and environmentally sensitive development by preserving critical environmental resources, providing above-average open space amenities, incorporating creativity in the layout of buildings, open spaces, and circulation systems, assuring compatibility with surrounding land uses and neighborhood character, and providing efficiency in layout and provisions of roads, utilities, and other infrastructure. This site will protect the wetlands by providing limited wetland disturbance. The applicant proposes 2 access points on US 17 and 1 on NC 210 through an easement. The NCDOT will determine the type of access allowed on US 17 as well as NC 210. The project does not meet the threshold for a TIA, but based on the number of trips. However, the applicant is requesting a median break, and a median break does require a traffic impact analysis so that the Raleigh unit can review it. The applicant provided the below trip generation summary comparing the current zoning of C3 to the proposed multifamily strip retail plaza. The trip generation was created using the NCDOT guidelines and the ITE trip generation manual. Though the applicant has not shown the exact use, the rezoning request includes limiting the commercial uses allowed on site. In the below summary, the applicant compares the known proposed uses to the theoretical highest and best use. The property as zoned could support up to 214,000 square feet of shopping center, so big box with additional retail units. As noted below, the proposed use would create less traffic than the by right large commercial use. The site plan will be required to include a sidewalk along the frontage of US 17. The applicant will also provide an internal network of sidewalks to connect the buildings to the clubhouse and pool. The development is located within the Rocky Point Topsail Water and Sewer District established by Pender County in 1996. Pender County can provide water to this parcel. To receive water from the town of Surf City, the applicant must obtain a release from Pender County. The applicant has provided the release from Pender County Utilities Department, so the town will be servicing the water to this site. The applicant is aware that the town of Surf City cannot provide sewer services at this time. If the project receives approval for the rezoning request, the applicant will complete the TRC process and provide final plans to the town. Once the town council has approved the final plans, the project will be placed on the town sewer capacity wait list. As mentioned earlier, NCDEQ will provide state stormwater permitting for this site. The applicant intends to minimize the impact on wetlands. Any impacts will be permitted through the Department of Environmental Quality and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. The site meets the minimum required parking spaces by providing 498 spaces. The site will provide buffering to the north and west of the property by protecting the existing wetland areas. Landscaping will also be required adjacent to the parking and along the property line. If approved, the final engineered plans will be submitted to the town for TRC review to ensure town ordinances and any conditions agreed upon have been met. Based on the new comprehensive land use plan that we passed this year, this area is located in the regional mixed use area of the future land use map. I took a snippet of the land use for you, and I will highlight that the desired uses are mostly commercial, retail, office, and institutional, employment centers, including compatible manufacturing and industrial uses, multifamily residential and high-density single-family residential uses when part of a mixed-use development, and upper-story residential. Inappropriate uses would be medium and low-density single-family residential uses and industrial and manufacturing uses with negative external impacts. As noted above, the regional mixed-use area of the future land use map has a desired use of multifamily when part of a mixed-use development. By maintaining the commercial component, the use is appropriate in this future land use category. Staff recommends approval of the conditional rezoning. And I'm happy to answer any questions. Did y'all want to present, or Mr. Frank would like to speak for a minute as well?
I don't want to interrupt. If y'all have questions of Ms. Kimes before I talk, please.
You can wait till after.
Okay.
I'm
Our,
ready.
our primary objective is to answer questions you might have. I'll speak only briefly. Ms. Kimes' presentation was thorough and appropriate. My name's Sam Frank. I represent the applicant. Also here this evening are Hunter Young with the developer applicant, our land planner, Brad Schuler, and our civil engineer, Tim Clinkscales. So to the extent that you have questions that are technical or design in nature, please don't hesitate to ask to talk to someone other than me. I won't be offended in the least. As Ms. Kimes explained, this is a proposed mixed-use development that includes multifamily and a commercial component. The land's currently Zone C3. That allows a wide variety of relatively intense commercial uses. We deliberately tailored down the commercial uses that would be permitted in this conditional zoning for the commercial component of this site. So, for example, the existing C3 zoning allows funeral homes, laboratories, warehouse or self-storage, light industrial or manufacturing. All of those uses have been trimmed out off the list of the things that would be permitted here. Density of the multifamily is right in the medium range, just below 10 units per acre. The proposed development is consistent with the nearby uses. The commercial parcel and the wetlands do a really nice job of providing a buffer, each in their own right. The commercial providing a buffer between the multifamily residential and the more intense commercial node at the intersection of 17 and 210, and the wetlands on the north and west side of the project, providing a nice natural and good buffer between the higher density residential that we've proposed here and the neighboring property further to the west and further to the north. Absolutely compatible with your future land use plan, and really no need to say anything further about that. This proposed development will provide an alternative type of housing, increase the diversity of housing types available in the town. It's in demand and organically more affordable housing than single family homes in a location where just that type of housing makes a lot of sense. This is a significant downzoning with regard to traffic intensity. The chart is included in the staff report that you reviewed, but as you can see, we're talking about a reduction from some 11,000 trips per day to less than 3,000 trips per day between what the ordinary use of this property would be as C3 and what we're proposing here. As a result, there isn't a requirement for a TIA from the DOT based on the trip count, because not only are we not increasing to the necessary threshold, we're actually substantially decreasing the traffic impact. And the location of those curb cuts on 17 for the entry and egress ingress and egress, will be, well, hopefully they'll be right where we've pointed to them. That's where we've designed them and where we'd like them to be, but ultimately that'll be determined by the DOT. That is all preemptively that I wanted to say. In addition to Mrs. Kimes' report, we welcome the opportunity to answer any questions that you may have.
Where's the second entrance for fire?
On the plan, you can see a primary entrance in the middle, and then the second entrance in the commercial section of the mixed-use development at the, I guess that would be the southeast end of it.
Drive through the commercial section to get
Yes, sir.
to the apartments.
Yep, and that's a similar path also for the third point of entry that connects to 210, which is visible there on the site plan as well.
See a bunch of dotted lines, and that's all it means.
Yes, sir, that's where we anticipate the easement and the third point of entry to go.
Buy that?
No, sir, we anticipate having, well, will we pay for the easement?
Yeah.
So there's already an easement there.
Sheapong Road doesn't go up there. It starts off at 210, but
Yes, sir.
goes the opposite direction.
So the current, it's a slash through where Shiapong is. That is a current access easement. We're working with the developers that own that now at Speedway LLC to redesign that easement so it's better suited to both of our uses. But there is currently an access easement on it.
So you'll come out Shiapong, that's where it'll dump out into 210?
Yes, sir.
Why do you need 58-foot height?
So we initially proposed a 55-foot height limit because we thought that was the deal in the C3. On further review, your code does allow a 55-foot height limit under the C3 regs, but there's also an overarching height limit requirement for the entire town that says 48 feet only unless you have a special use permit that allows you to go up to 60. All that said, we are satisfied with a 48-foot height limit and have no reason to press further on that based on staff's recommendation.
We had talked about that earlier. I think it was just a holdover on the set of plans, so I just brought it up in here so that it was documented.
Sounds like something we need to get corrected in our ordinances.
We're rewriting our zoning ordinances currently, Mr. Ward.
Well, I know.
These will be apartments like rentals, or are they going to be condos that you can purchase?
So it'll be multifamily. The physical structure of the thing will allow for either. I don't know if we've made a certain decision about whether to rent or sell or both.
There'll be rentals.
So our anticipation today is that there'll be rentals. Of course, the zoning approval doesn't condition rent or sell, but as we sit here today, we anticipate that they'll be rented.
Want to get in line for that sewer?
Yes, sir, we would love to.
Are there any similar apartments in the area as far as the exterior looks?
You mean fit and finish that have been performed by the similar developer? Yeah, Hunter, why don't I let you speak to that?
Yeah, so the ones actually behind the shopping center, we developed and built those as well, both phases. It'll be very similar to that. We'll keep high finishes, nice amenity areas. I think everyone's pretty happy with those apartments, and I mean, the demand was very high. We had people lined up on the wait list for phase 2, and we couldn't build them quick enough. Thank you.
Chairwoman Rhodes, do you understand the apartment complex that he referred to just now? I just want to make sure that we're...
On Harris Teeter?
Okay, great, thank you. I'm going to reclaim my seat and stay nearby. If you have any questions for us as you deliberate, please don't hesitate to call on us. Thank you.
Is this the same property that came to us a year ago?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
What was that question?
It was the same property property that came to us about a year ago.
So I guess the reason for this, for the conditional use is the setbacks?
The reason for the conditional is that the multifamily use is not allowed in the C3 zoning, so you need the conditional to allow that use. You could have gone with like an MFC, which would allow it, but the conditional district rezoning allows you to submit a bubble plan that basically says, this is what we're going to do, so it gives you more input in what it's going to be versus a straight rezoning that would allow any use in that zoning. So we know with a conditional district that it's going to be no more than this number of apartments laid out very similarly to this versus it could be single family, multifamily, or whatnot.
The current sewer service that's not, provided right now, and what's the, I mean, how many people are already in line for the sewer?
Mr. Price would like to answer that question for you tonight.
How many years have we?
I appreciate it. We currently have a project that's been bid out and awarded, will be awarded hopefully with Monday's council meeting. That will start construction first week of December. That'll give us 150,000 gallons a day. Currently, we have 48,000 gallons on the wait list. These 102,000 gallons that could be awarded within the next year. The second project is planned to be completion within 3 years. That's going to get us 600,000 gallons. Within 5 years, we're going to have an additional 1.5 million gallons if everything works out the way I hope.
Thank you.
How much do you need?
He's looking it up.
Would you like to come to the podium?
While our designers are typing, I want to acknowledge that we understand that zoning the land doesn't have any impact on the availability or the obligation to provide sewer. And so obviously we've got to ultimately get sewer capacity to build what we want to build. But we respect that by your decision to rezone the land, you haven't done anything to change your commitment or obligation in that regard.
Right. Yes, sir.
That's state law. Okay. I won't, then. What's the number here in Clerk City now? 240?
We're using 240, yes.
240 or 360?
240 for a two-bedroom.
Okay, so 360. It's going to be the other. So 95,000 gallons would be the whole, both phases. This might be done in phases as well or not?
Probably not.
Okay, so 95,000 is the maximum that it would be.
Thank you.
Sir, can you state your name for Sheila, please?
Tim Clinkscales, Param Engineering.
Can you say it slower?
Tim Clinkscales.
Did you get that? Thank you. Do we have any other discussion?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is approved. Motion is carried. Plan is approved.
Good luck.
That's with the 48 foot.
As long as it stays 48 feet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We're leaving right now. Can you just wait like 10 minutes? Yeah, we're talking for a minute. So for our ordinance update, I don't have a lot to update because at the December meeting, we're going to meet an hour early and go over the first set of revisions. Y'all have been given kind of the new layout. We're taking some of the chapters and just switching them around a little bit so that they make sense. And then some of the things that were repetitive, we're combining them into one area so that you're not having to look in 4 places to find your final answer. The team that we've hired, the consultant, is doing a really good job. I am pleased with the questions that they're asking and the things that they're putting in it so far. My intent is to give y'all that a few days before the meeting. It is not anticipated that you read through it thoroughly with a fine-tooth comb and come in there with 1,000 questions. I want you to read it and understand it enough that you can converse about it, but I want to kind of go through the process and the expectations, and then for you to provide me the remainder of your comments within the next 2 weeks. But I kind of want this to be our kickoff meeting where we're really talking about how we're going to proceed, and if there's some things that you saw in the layout or whatnot that you were concerned about, that would be a good time to bring them up with the consultant. And we will meet in the room back there. If we have planning board items, we will recess that meeting and then move back out here for our normal planning board meeting. If we do not have a regular planning board meeting, then we'll just meet back there and then end it and go home.
What date is that?
December 14th at 3 p.m. Y'all should have gotten a calendar invite. You may or may not have accepted it. But you should have a calendar invite, except Miss Sally's email hates me. Miss Sally, if you could write on your calendar.
December 14th, 3 o'clock?
At 3 o'clock, yes, ma'am.
You're unfortunately.
We will do the ordinance update meeting and followed by the planning board meeting. And the time has been changed on the website to reflect the 3 o'clock meeting. And that's all I have on the ordinance update. And then general project updates. So the Mavis Tire is hoping to get a CO very soon, so anticipate the Mavis Tire out front being open very soon. I finally have the plan set or site plan for Agave Azul. I know that sign's been up for like 2 years, coming soon. Well, I officially have the plans to start reviewing those. So that's really the main thing that we have new going forward.
What's the holdup on that? Because there were rumors it was because it was close to the church. No?
Well, that's a weird rumor. People like to eat after church.
And because there's alcohol, you can't have it within, so that's just a rumor.
That would be a rumor, yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Same with all the other beer places here, but
Church to go to.
So the one in Hampstead's on hold too?
Well, yeah, like, they're not affiliated with the Hampstead that I know.
They're not the same?
Well, the Camino Real people aren't the same as Hampstead as they are here.
There's an Agave sign in Hampstead too.
I believe there is, I'm not sure.
I just know she said that they bought the parking lot next to the one at Sainsbury's because they didn't have enough parking, so they put the money into that.
And there's been some, getting some of their other permits going and whatnot has taken a little bit longer, I think, than they originally anticipated, so. But they have submitted, it is just under the 5,000 square feet threshold, so it will be a staff level approval. It will not come to planning board, but I want to give you a heads up that that's coming. Other than that, that's about it. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Can I ask a quick question? Has nothing to do with any of this. But did I hear you say that the first special use permit that went to the board was approved?
Yes.
Boat storage, talk about the
You
boat
were,
storage.
if you were asking me, was the boat storage special use permit approved at the last meeting, then the answer would be yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Oh.
Meeting is adjourned.